Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu didn't hesitate to express how overjoyed he was to see the United States effectively kidnap Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro while bombing his country. And we've got more, and we'll show you his reaction. But Cenk, what is your initial take here?
Yeah, I don't know that Israel first is the primary reason we're going to Venezuela, and we do have a poll for you guys asking you about that a little bit. But I do know it is definitely one of the reasons. The reason I know it is because of the videos we're about to show you, where they're like, yes, finally regime change in Venezuela. So what does Israel have to do with this? They're gonna tell us, and you're gonna see in a second. And so, but I wanna know, one of my favorite things about this story is the gaslighting hypocrisy. It's so over the top that it's kind of hilarious. We'll show that to you as well.
So first, here is Netanyahu vocalizing his support for the regime change mission.
Regarding Venezuela, I want to express the entire government's support for the determined decision and action of the United States to restore freedom and justice to that part of the world as well. I must say that across Latin America right now, we are seeing a transformation in several countries that are returning to the American axis and, not surprisingly, also to a connection with the State of Israel. We welcome this.
Now, Maduro is not a fan of Netanyahu's or of Israel's. He has vocally defended the Palestinian people while condemning the genocidal regime in Israel on multiple occasions. He also condemned Israeli airstrikes on neighboring countries. Here's more from a speech Maduro gave last summer.
The United Nations has allowed the bombing and destruction of Beirut and Lebanon. They have allowed the bombing and destruction of Syria. Every day they allow the bombing of the Arab people of Yemen, and now they will also look the other way. Now, what does Berlin say? What does Paris say? What does London say? What does Washington say? Will they continue to support the Hitler of the 21st century, referring to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, now attacking the noble and peaceful people of the Islamic Republic of Iran? Well, I say the Bolivarian, humanist and peaceful people of Venezuela say, no to war. This madness must be stopped.
Perhaps this is why Maduro's vice president, who was immediately sworn in to take Maduro's place amid his arrest by the US government, suspects that Israel has something to do with the attack.
Del mundo están sencillamente impactados de que sea la República Bolivariana de Venezuela víctima y objeto de un ataque de esta naturaleza que tiene sin duda alguna tinte sionista.
And for the podcast audience, Rodriguez said that governments around the world are shocked that the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has become the victim and target of an attack of this nature, which undoubtedly has Zionist undertones. Prior to the US airstrikes on Venezuela, Netanyahu tried to tie Venezuela to Israel while speaking with Greta Van Susteren.
We've had an unbelievable success by degrading Iran, which was a first-rate power. Now it's a second-rate or third-rate power. They were throwing their weight all over the place, exporting terrorism, not only to every part of the Middle East, but to Venezuela. They're in cahoots with the Maduro regime, they're exporting terrorism to America, to the American hemisphere. And then they want these Hezbollah and Hamas to get their guys into the United States. So Hamas and Iran's and its proxies are a threat not only to us, but to Israel, all America's allies in the Middle East, and to America itself.
US Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee couldn't contain his joy following the airstrikes and capture of Maduro, and argued that the US overthrow of that government is great news for Israel. Take a look.
A lot of people may not make the connection as to why this matters to us in the Middle East. What they don't know is that Hezbollah is very active in Venezuela. There has been a 20-year partnership between Iran and Venezuela under both two previous dictators. The ties are deep. And Hezbollah operates in 12 different countries throughout South America. It is not just a threat in the Western Hemisphere. It is a threat to the Middle East.
Cenk, what do you make of some of these comments?
First, quick side comment there. Huckabee started that video by saying it's a threat to us in the Middle East. Who's us, brother? Like what Venezuela is a threat to America in the Middle East? It sounds like you're speaking on behalf of the government you actually represent, which is Israel. All right, so in this case, there's two things that Israel First crowd is doing at the same time. And it's kind of hilarious and it's related to our poll. So I'm gonna read you the poll that's on TYT.com, and I am genuinely curious about your ideas, and I'll tell you which way I'm gonna vote on it. And then I'll tell you the glaring, amazing hypocrisy here. So do you think Israel was involved in the US attack on Venezuela? A, yes, they drove the decision. B, yes, but they were one of several factors that led to the decision. C, no, they had no effect on this decision. D, no, and it's anti-Semitic to even bring it up as a possibility. Okay, now we included D there because at the same time, we have all of Israel's supporters in the country go, yes, yes, we invaded Venezuela. It's the greatest thing in the world. Ben Shapiro's like, this is America at its best. Mark Levin is like, finally, that government is terrible and disgusting, supports Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran, and we wiped it out for Israel, right? And you see Huckabee, and you see, and we didn't put Rubio in here, but Rubio was on with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, and he's like, Hezbollah, Iran, Hezbollah, right? Israel, we took it out for you, right? And Netanyahu comes in before, they're in cahoots with Iran. It's time to take them out. And afterwards, he's like, this is great for Israel. And then we go, it seems like they kind of wanted this war, right? And people go, anti-Semite. But wait a minute, I'm just quoting them. I just showed you their videos where they're like, this is great for Israel, and you should do this for Israel. I'm just quoting them, Jew hater. What? What do you mean? They're saying they wanted it, and they're ecstatic we did it. And of course but they're never, ever satisfied. 2026 just started, and like a lot of us, I've got some big personal goals. Here at TYT, we believe in changing the world for the better. But to do that, I'm gonna need the right team of people to make it happen. Let's be real, sometimes it can be hard to find the right people who are that good at what they do. It's like if you're hiring for your business, how do you find the best people for all the different roles on your team? Well, it turns out it's actually kind of easy because of ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. It's a great offer. Their matching technology works fast, so you find top talent without wasting any time. You can instantly see how many qualified candidates are in your area and reach them directly. That's why ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site. Let ZipRecruiter help you find the best people for all of your roles. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Just go to this exclusive web address right now to try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter.com/TYT. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/TYT. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. There's another thing that's gonna come, but I'm with the majority of the audience that you just saw there on your screen. I don't think it's the only reason. I think it's a confluence of events. I think it's B, but are they happy about it? Well, they're ecstatic about it. You just look at any Israel First account. You Shapiro, Mark Levin, Laura Loom, it doesn't matter. They're like beside themselves with glee, right? And so, okay, now I don't know if that also makes Netanyahu anti-Semite, because he seems to be suggesting that Israel was involved. Our press, the monstrous liars that they are like, how dare you say Israel? You're all anti-Semites. That's a ludicrous conspiracy theory. Now here's a tape of Netanyahu saying it was for Israel. Bravo, way to go, Israel. We did it for you. You said we did it for them, you anti-Semite. Like this is, come on, it's getting tired, right? Like, guys, like this is, I don't know, they're making it so freaking obvious. But Jordan, this is not enough because, and how I knew that Israel First was a giant part of this, other than them all saying it at once, is corporate Democrats behind the scenes, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Moskowitz, and many, many others. Now, they have a couple of different factors too. Those two are from Florida. In Florida, there's a large Venezuelan expat community, also a Cuban community, and they both wanted this war, right? A lot of the folks in those communities, but they're also Israel First, et cetera. And all of them are saying, Maduro being kidnapped, awesome, awesome. Oh yeah, wait, I thought you were a Democrat. I thought you were gonna say, well, I didn't quite like the way we did it, right? Wink, wink, wink. But I really love that we got Maduro. But that was just the first round. Now the second round, Jordan, is they're now coming around going, no. We need to put Machado in charge. The plan was for us, us of course meaning America, not Israel, was to put Machado in charge. Why is she not in charge? No, we need a regime change. And Jordan, they're not wrong about that. You can't just yell, as I've been saying all day long, you can't yell orders from an aircraft carrier. No, you need to actually do the regime change if the oil companies, Israel First, and everyone else involved is going to get what they want. So right now, and you will see, and this is why I like doing the predictions. You'll see who's right and wrong. And I'm telling you right now that all of Israel First will now start to the second stage, where they will demand that we attack again, and that we not stop until we have a puppet in place. And their puppet is, and it's not purely theirs, if I'm right. Again, oil companies, Wall Street speculators, defense contractors, etc. They all have decided Machado is their puppet, and they want Machado. Except she won the Nobel Peace Prize, which is we reported in the first segment. Ironically, made Trump so mad that he says she shouldn't be in charge. So, Jordan, what's your take on their reaction so far and what's going to come next?
I mean, I think the audience was right. Sure, maybe Israel was part of it. I think it was really an afterthought here. This has ultimately been about oil. And this is something that people like Marco Rubio, Elliot Abrams, even though he's critical of Trump, they tried this in 2019 and it was an absolute disaster. It was a mess. They tried to prop up Juan Guaido and it was an international joke. So I think, sure, maybe they just happen to have the same perspective. Of course, Netanyahu doesn't want anybody to work with or trade with or partner with Iran or Lebanon, whatever. So that's their interest. Maybe there's some people in the government, Huckabee, that would put that above the oil companies' interests, for instance, maybe. But I think the largest driving force here, and we shouldn't really try to confuse people, just to stay focused. This has always been about oil. This is always, the oil companies in the United States have wanted this for years, and they're finally potentially going to get it, like we acknowledge. This is just day one, Jank. I mean, this happened on Saturday. We're 72 hours removed. This could go on for a long time, and who knows what it might look like. Who knows what will happen next if they continue to strike. Trump didn't rule that out. Initially, he said, we may not have to, we got Maduro. But as people are gonna continue to point out, yeah, but they installed his vice president and everybody else is still there. The regime is still intact. It's just missing their figurehead. There's a lot of things that could happen over the next day, week, month, year that will continue to reshape this problem, this conflict, this coup. I think it's premature to say it will or won't happen for or against the oil companies. But I think any Israeli involvement, I would highly doubt a direct involvement or direct order. They've wanted this for years, long before the Trump administration's coziness with Netanyahu.
Yeah, but nobody else was crazy enough to do it, and Trump is giving them everything they want. So look, I have to agree with you.
They tried it in 2019 again.
Yeah. So
Elliot Abrams.
Yeah. So look, I have to agree with you. I think that, for example, the Cuban Americans want this more than Israel First does. They think that this is going to topple the Cuban regime. Marco Rubio is a Cuban American right winger who's wanted that for a long time. Trump is talking about how that might be part of the dominoes, etc. So I don't think this is purely Israel First, and I'm not even sure they're the major player here. But as we discussed in the last segment, the oil companies are a little bit conflicted here. Yeah, they want the trillions of dollars in crude oil that's in the ground, under the ground in Venezuela, but it requires tens of billions of dollars in investments, and Trump is having to kind of goad them into it. But there's no black and white here. Whereas the oil refineries in the Gulf Coast want it very, very badly. The defense contractors want it. So look, you can't do this kind of spectacularly wrong decision without a lot of interest on one side pushing down the balance, right? So this is not as clear cut as Israel wants us to attack Iran, that is the only reason why we're attacking Iran, period. That's not even close, right? This is not like that. At the same time, we see them saying, yeah, we want it. And when they help push, it usually has a large outsized effect, especially, Jordan, because it gets all those establishment Democrats to go, secretly we want it. We kind of want it, and they don't have a lot of oil donors as far as I know, the Democrats these days. But they have tons of AIPAC donors and defense contractor donors.
Oh, Dems have almost an equally bad problem taking oil pack money. It was a big push to get 2020 Democratic presidential hopefuls to sign. I think there was like a big oil money pledge to say, I'm not going to take it. And very few committed to it. And some of the ones that did kind of like winked and nodded, yeah, I'll sign your pledge, and then just took money from executives at the oil companies directly. So it's still a massive problem on the left as it is on the right. It's, similar to the military industrial complex, similar to big pharma and the private insurance companies. Oil is a massive spender in Democratic elections as well, because they need to control both parties. It's sure maybe there's some more on the right because Dems are generally more favorable to renewable energy, but Democrats do have a big oil money problem as well.
Yeah. So last couple of things. So I don't think this is Israel's first top priority at all, right? Iran is their top priority. They have many other priorities, getting $100 billion MOU, et cetera. But do they love the idea of anybody who works with Iran or Hezbollah having their regime decapitated and replaced with a puppet regime who will aid and abet Israel and work for Israel? Yeah, of course they love that. And in fact, Machado, the so-called Nobel Peace Prize winner, has said in her speeches, now if I get in charge, the American oil companies, which goes to your point, will get everything they want in Venezuela, and they'll be able to make tons of money from it, billions from it. She's literally said that. And she's also said, and we will serve Israel. We will make sure that we're top allies with Israel. We'll kick out all of Israel's opponents. Now, you're not going to say that unless you think that that crowd can help sway things in your direction. So obviously she thinks they have a tremendous amount of power. The one person who agrees with her appears to be her opponent, the vice president that we showed you earlier, Delcy Rodriguez, saying, yeah, it was the Zionists. Now again, even she didn't say it was purely the Zionists, but she did say it was undoubtedly the Zionists. And that's the person currently leading Venezuela. And by the way, that could also be for internal political reasons and blaming a scapegoat, et cetera. So I understand all those motivations. Here's what Jordan and I and everyone else that is reasonable can agree to here. It certainly wasn't for the American people. We're dead last in this calculation, and we're not even considered. Nobody even bothers to think of us. It's just a matter of which donor did Trump and the Republicans do this for. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.